We're back on Boston has entered the chat. Travis Thomas, George Balekji. The Celtics are in the offseason. NBA Finals are underway. How about the Pacers, man?
I'm just glad we have a series because I thought for sure it was going to be Thunder in 3 and the Pacers would be waving the white flag for Game 4 and not even show up. Wrong. Pacers are for real. They have a 2-1 lead.
How they're closing out the money minutes, man. The danger zone, end of the half, end of the game. 2-1 lead in Indy.
Also, for all the idiots that say coaching doesn't matter, I mean,
Rick Carlisle.
He's
doing it again. Every stop he's been.
I'll be honest. If he gets a ring and they shock the world and pull this upset off, you can definitively say he's the most underrated coach of all time.
Yeah, I like that.
Definitive.
What he did with Dallas back in the day, what he had that team at before he was fired from that job, too.
Yes.
What Jason Kidd has done.
Yes.
What Rick Carlisle's doing right now. There's
Underrated.
not a single player on the Pacers that would play minutes over the guys that the Thunder have in those roles.
When we talk NBA coaches, you never bring him up.
Ever.
Most underrated coach of all time, if he gets this done. Right now, he's just underrated, okay? If he gets this done, he's the GOAT of underrated.
Now, he's not going anywhere in the East, but what would the Celtics look like? What will they look like when they're matching up with the Pacers next season? As always, Shams Charania with the Sham Bombs. Here was a report he put out. Are teams making big offers about Jaylen Brown and Derrick White? 100%. The Celtics prefer not to trade them, from my understanding. If they get a big offer, they have to look at everything. And I think they're going to get offers on the 3 guys that they're focused on. The 3 guys is Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Sam Hauser. They're going to get offers potentially on Derrick White and Jaylen Brown. And I think between now and the draft and free agency, they're going to evaluate what makes sense from a value perspective. As Shams added, primary focus, from my understanding, with the Celtics offseason has been Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Sam Hauser, and their trade markets. Obviously, fans reacting to this on X as well. Trading away your finals MVP a year after is mad work. Welcome to the new CBA and the new second apron. Here's from Mikey Coinsnatch. What? Losing Derrick White will be the downfall of their team. I love D. White. He's their 3rd best player. That won't be the downfall of the Celtics.
Coinsnatch could be like a crypto thing.
It definitely is.
Right?
Definitely is. Dime work. Is that crypto too? Derrick White should be untouchable. I'd listen to offers for Jaylen Brown. Okay.
What? Look.
You can't say Derrick White's untouchable and be like, but Jaylen Brown, I listen to offers on him.
What are you talking about, bro?
The only untouchable guy is a top 5 guy in the league, and that's Jason Tatum. You don't want to move Derrick White, who's your 3rd best player, or Jaylen Brown, who's your 2nd best player.
Yeah.
But again, it's business, and this is a team in a very difficult situation right now.
You said who's untouchable?
Jason Tatum. He's untouchable. Yeah. Giannis.
All I'm saying is...
player. There's 2 players. But you wouldn't get that offer.
What?
Wemby, SGA.
Okay, so then you can't say untouchable.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get that offer.
I know.
All right.
Let's refocus. White and Brown. Look, what's the plan? This is where I'm at with this, because I've traded everybody. Okay, I've done every scenario possible, including Jason Tatum. But in the end, what is the plan? If the plan is the big 3 is Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum, and we're just waiting to get them all back healthy and happy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
If that's a plan, then Brad Stevens can operate outside of that. You trade everyone else. If that's not the plan or there is no plan, then yeah. I mean, I think Derrick White and Jaylen Brown are tradable. And it would take, what Shams is saying here is, it would take a lot to get either one of these guys. But there are teams out there who would probably be willing to give up what it takes to get them if they feel as though they're close. And the team, look, the team names, they're not coming out of nowhere. They're consistently the same. It's Spurs, it's Rockets, it's teams that are close, George. So we're not talking about sending Jaylen Brown and or Derrick White to the Brooklyn Nets here. You know what I mean? Like, we're not sending them to basketball hell. They're gonna go likely to teams that are contenders because that's who covets them. And we have to remember these are both champions. They know how to get it done. So of course, if you're a Timberwolf or you're one of these teams that have been close with no cigar, you're like, let's get one of those Celtics because they know how to get us a cigar. So it makes sense. But the asking price is going to be brutal. My gut is That is the big three. I do think Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derrick White, unless it's a Godfather offer that can be refused, aren't going to go anywhere.
Yes.
And I think everyone else, including our beloved Peyton Pritchard, sorry, love him, I think everyone without those last names, White, Brown, or Tatum, is on the trading block. I believe it. And it wouldn't shock me if any of them get moved. And it wouldn't shock me is if this big three who I just said comes back healthy and it's a completely different supporting cast around them all, including head coach. Wouldn't shock me at all.
That's where, exactly to your point, there's the pillars of what you build around. Every NBA team wants that elite wing that can shoot. It's Derrick White, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Those are the three best players. And when you get into a rebuild, especially with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're not going to be 30 by the time Tatum's back. Derrick White will be 32, but that's a guy that makes such winning basketball plays all the time.
Bingo.
And with the style of game that he has, he's going to have a long career. He's already had a long, flourishing career, but it's not going anywhere soon. What he does defensively, what he does as a shooter, and as a point guard. With Jrue Holiday, look, at his age and his price tag, he has to get moved. This is a team that's $20 million over the second apron. And there are heavy implications that hurt team building when it comes to being over the second apron and very costly, especially for a new owner. They're another $32 million over that first apron. They would like to get under all the tax thresholds, and they can do it. And again, this is going to be in levels. Jrue Holiday's probably first to go, and I'd bet a Sam Hauser. Then Kristaps Porzingis as they get closer to a trade deadline, especially if he shows illness is behind him and he can play. When it comes to Derrick White and Jaylen Brown, no Celtics fan wants to see those names floated in trades. But it's doing business. And as Shams said, they're going to evaluate what makes sense from a value perspective, team building perspective.
That's why I say, what's the plan?
Exactly.
Right? What's the plan?
What's the long-term vision of the team? And how good Brad Stevens is leading that front office, all of this matters. Here's another report from Shams Charania. Reports that Kevin Durant is sorting through trade options with his business partner, focused on Rockets, Spurs, Timberwolves, Heat, and Knicks. We could see Kevin Durant coming to the East at the trade deadline.
Rockets, though, make the most sense. I know the East is in play, and the Heat make a lot of sense. The Knicks make a lot of sense because it's New York. And Kevin Durant with the Nets never felt right. Kevin Durant with the Knicks, the real New York team, feels right. Okay, the Heat, obviously, that Heat culture is dead. So if you get a Kevin Durant, you trade anyone to get him, not named Bam Adebayo. You have Bam and KD. Maybe you can replicate what Bam and Jimmy did, although technically they never won anything. I think the West is where he ends up. I think it's the Rockets. I think the Rockets, you give up a Dylan Brooks, Reed Shepherd, draft picks, whatever. You get Kevin Durant in there. The one thing they were missing, particularly in the playoffs, was consistent scoring. Kevin Durant, even at this stage of his career, can give you that. He can give you a bucket. He is a leader, not in the traditional sense that we want to see, but he's been there, done that, can lead by example, great pro. I think the Rockets is the best fit. The next one's the Timberwolves. I mean, Anthony Edwards idolizes this guy. I think those two would work together. What do you give up? Rudy Gobert, DiVincenzo, draft picks. It's doable, but that's a team that was very close, George, to getting over the hump and being in the finals where we see the Thunder right now. They could be thinking we're a Kevin Durant away from that.
The one thing for him is that it puts him in the West. Much tougher path to the finals. But this is a guy that's never been afraid of the smoke. The East would make sense. The Knicks would make sense because, look, Jalen Brunson late in the game can get it. They, again, to your point, consistent buckets. And that would be a flip. Karl-Anthony Towns off the books over to Phoenix, reunites with Devin Booker. Perfect situation for Karl-Anthony Towns. Just go be a player. They don't care about winning there. Kevin Durant going to a contender. But I always go back to the Rockets. Kevin Durant and Ime Udoka do have a relationship. The structure around him makes the most basketball sense as well. They can offload draft picks. They have a lot of young, good players, where it would be a good reset for the Suns themselves.
That's right.
I think Kevin Durant to the Rockets makes the most sense.
I do too.
But interesting, we could see him coming to the East. Again, the landscape of the NBA could look so different after this offseason. The guys the Celtics are moving and the guys that could be coming to the East.
That's right.